Hello everyone and welcome to another New World Aeternum video. My name is Brian if you happen to be new around here, and in today's video I want to address some of the biggest questions that you guys have been sending my way. This comes from what should your best build as a new player be? What should you be doing in the game? And the real big question, which we'll open this video off with, is should you start today? If you're a PC player, should you start? Should you return? What's the advantages, disadvantages? We're going to break it all down in this video. If you guys like New World content, if you like MMO RPG content, well, that's what we do around here. And if you want to come check out more, be sure to find that subscribe button. It's somewhere around here. And if you do find it, let me know and sound off in the comments, just like all of these incredible people. In fact, on my last video, you guys really brought home a lot of subscribers, so welcome in to all the new faces around here. I'm really glad that you're here, pushing the channel up to an incredible almost 20,000 subscribers. So I'm truly humbled. I'm really glad you're here. A lot of you guys responded that you were surprised, and it really helped with the message of hope. That's something we do at the end of my videos. And yes, that's something that we do around here, and there's a lot of reasons for it, but maybe we'll talk about that more in today's message of hope. But that's not why you most likely clicked on this video. Let's go ahead and dive in. So being that New World is out right now on PC, and if you have the means to play it, whether you have a PC that can run the game or you play it through GeForce Now, you can start now and get a head start when New World Aeternum launches on October the 15th. Why that's an interesting kind of conundrum is that there's also Throne and Liberty. It's going to be coming out here in just another week, and there's going to be some hype around that. You're going to see me playing Throne and Liberty and more because, like, I'm interested. I love MMO RPGs around here, and that's something that I'm looking forward to checking out as well. So I won't be putting in a lot of time and effort into the base PC version between now and launch, but I will be putting in some amount of time, and that's because your progression carries forward into the main game. You're not going to have the revamped storied and cutscenes, and you might want to experience that, and you can go back and experience that, or you can always create another character. But if you're really going to be diving into this game's story, honestly, there's nothing wrong with waiting. I think you're going to get a lot out of that. You're going to see so much marketing. You're going to see all the big content creators. You're going to see this wave of excitement of people coming back and checking out the game, because that is one of the things that New World does really, really well, is it hooks you like right out the gate. You can see the value, you can get excited about the combat, you can get excited about all these different aspects, and it feels like a real big jump in visual fidelity and in audio just direction, that that you get this just immersive MMO action RPG experience right out the gate. And so I would say if you want to get that head start, there's nothing wrong with it. If you want to just buy the base game or pick up like the base game and the expansion, yes, you don't have to purchase New World Aeternum. It's a one-time purchase, and there's no subscription, which I see a lot of people asking about. No, it's a buy-to-play action RPG MMO game, and I think that's going to work out very heavily in its favor when it comes to getting people into this game. It's less barriers for entry. That being said, though, if you have just the base game, well, when New World Aeternum launches, you will still be able to access the game. You just won't be able to access the expansion style content. That's the flail weapon, which is really incredible. That's the new Elysium Wilds. But you will be able to play the revamped story. Like, they are really, I think, putting in the effort into this game. So if you're on the fence and you own the base game, you're like, well, maybe I should pick up the expansion, and you don't want to spend the $30. Well, you can wait, and you can see when this game launches in October if it is a time to reinvest. But you will probably want to be picking up that expansion because it's got so many things, and everybody coming into consoles gets all of that right out the gate. There isn't buying the base game and then the expansion. New World Aeternum is that game, and that is what's going to be launching on consoles and on PC. And I would suspect that once the New World Aeternum is out on PC, you'll see that shift over on the PC version as well. They won't be selling that in the expansion, but time will tell. We'll see if I'm right or wrong when it comes to that prediction, but I could see that here. One final thought for your consideration. I always tell the people this, like, I've got 6 kids, and people end up telling me I have the patience of a saint. And that really, for me, is very true. Like, I've played and enjoyed Final Fantasy 1.0, for example. Like, I don't have any problem when games kind of like have their struggles, because especially when it comes to MMORPGs, I think it's almost kind of guaranteed that the games are going to have their struggles. That's why I want to kind of paint you guys a picture. If you're like me in any respect and you are like, hey, I would really have wished I could have checked out, you know, Final Fantasy 14 1.0. I heard a lot of bad things, but now I would have really wished that I had that opportunity to go and play it. That same thing feels true for New World, you know, Aeternum. You can go and play the game right now. They're not shutting it down, which is great. And if you're interested in having that storied experience, like, oh man, I remember when it was like this, I remember that, and remember when we had to go and do all these things and those things have changed, remember when we didn't have this functionality? If you like that, I would probably encourage you to go ahead and check out the game anyway, just so you can have that experience in your back pocket, and that way later on you're not like, oh man, I really wish I played the game before it became what it became. I think the other most important question that I see asked a lot is, what about my starting build? Which build is going to be best for me? What should I be playing as? And that's why I want to walk you guys through the archetype system. This is new as of New World Aeternum, and it doesn't limit your choices. You can be a soldier with the sword and the hatchet. You can be the destroyer with the tank and the damage. Or once you get into the game and you are like, you know what, I really want to try bows, well, you just pick up a bow and equip it. The game has a very flexible class system, but the archetypes give you some advantages right out the gate. So let's start with the soldier. Soldier is going to have weaponsmithing increase, you're going to have mining increased, and you're going to have smelting. This is really where I think the big advantage comes in. It lets you pick kind of the weapons that you might be interested in more than anything else. But I think that as you play this game, you might be surprised by a certain weapon. Personally speaking, my favorite build is the life staff and flail. I like playing as a healer. That's the build that I end up choosing. And you can see here, it's not an option to play as. You have the mystic, which is your healer or damage dealer, but that's using the void gauntlet, which is also freaking cool as well. Let's take a look at them while we're here. You get Arcania, which allows you to craft magical infused items. Harvesting allows you to have a higher level harvesting right out the gate. And weaving, again, you can do any of these trade skills, any of these crafts, but this is just going to give you that benefit. So if you're looking to play in a healer, definitely pick up a mystic. If you're looking at playing a tank, again, two different options when it comes down to soldier and the destroyer. Personally speaking, obviously you can see here the weapons being the great hammer and the great axe are very intimidating and a lot of fun to play as. I think it's all going to be about survivability. So between your tanks with the soldier and the hatchet, which offers a lot of abilities, take a look at what are your benefits, where again, mining and smelting are going to be added. Here you're going to get armoring, skinning, and leather working as benefits. So whatever you feel like you might be more inclined to, that's going to be your better starting tank, because immediately once you get in the game, picking up these weapons are going to be a breeze, whether that's from the market or from random chests and drops throughout the game. The Ranger is a damage focused build. You've got the spear and you got the bow. This is a great combo, namely because whenever you're playing, having a level of ranged allows you to pull from far, but also then as they come in close, you swap over to the spear and really make them regret it. You get engineering, logging, and woodworking increases with the Ranger. Musketeer, also a very kick-ass combo in which you get the musket and the rapier. You're also going to get armoring, harvesting, and weaving to go along with it. This is a very powerful combo. We'll talk more about stats and leveling here after we get through all of these. So just stick around if you're interested in that. Let's talk about our occultist. This is our mage. You can see fire and ice coming together with the fire staff and the ice gauntlet. Also coming with it, jewel crafting, mining, and smelting as well. We've covered the mystics, so let's get to one of my favorite builds, the sword bearer. This is a damage tank style build. It really depends on how you want to build out your great sword here. You also got the blunderbuss, which acts as a mid-range strength build style weapon. Now the greatsword does scale off of strength or dex. You can pick either or, so it does give you also some flexibility, especially if you wanted to maybe pick a different range. If you wanted to go greatsword bow or greatsword musket, for example. And I don't know why I said scored there. It is what it is, guys. Welcome to the channel. You get cooking increase, you get fishing increase, and you get leatherworking increase in your trade skills? And that is essentially the first question that's going to be asked. I always vote in on survivability for my first playthrough because, again, as I leveled up a tank and got that high leveled and had greater survivability while playing the game, then I shifted over into Mystic because I really enjoyed playing as a healer. But hopefully from the archetypes, you get a good idea of what you're looking for and how you want to get started. Now, while you're playing and leveling, obviously one of the fastest ways is focusing in on the main story quest line. You can always figure out what that is from your journal and tracking down your main story. You also are going to have lots of side stories, side quests, factions, and more to get into, and this is going to feed you with wonderful experience that's going to make it much faster. You also have a town board. Every town that you come to has a various different town project board in which you can have various different quests, from turning in light rations, for example, to going and exploring dangerous areas of interest that you can then return to get some additional progress for the zone. And that's where progress is actually broken up into a couple of different categories. So let's get into some trouble here. Let's go ahead and attack this guy. You're going to see that it gets me 3 types of experience. Standing, I get weapon experience, and I get base general experience. Now, not every enemy is going to give you those kind of things, but it is important to be able to check it out. Also, if you are fighting something like a boar, you want to skin them for additional experience once you knock them out. Now, congratulations, you've done some leveling up as you've gained all this of a different experience. I'm going to focus it on territory standing. As you level up your territory, you're going to get several different buff opportunities from when you're in that territory. Now, personally speaking, I always like to pick on storage as an option. You can then continue to pick different options, whether it's standing gains, station fees, XP gains, storage increases, and more. At the end of the day, I don't think it's that absolutely important. I would recommend against going against XP gains, namely because of how the game is set up in the end game at the moment, but it is going to be a choice up to you. From there, outside of that, you still have character level. Now, what's really important about this is that as you level up, you get various different stat attribute points. You can put those into any of these 5 categories: strength, dexterity, intelligence, focus, and constitution. Constitution focusing in on health increases. If you're curious as to see what does what scales with what, you can see the weapons listed on each of the bars. If you have a weapon that benefits from that stat increase, you will see it circled with this little outline. That way you can tell what is ultimately that you need. Now, when it comes down to it, again, I like to focus in on both survivability, and that also means that I'm applying my strength. You can see here strength is increasing these 2 weapons that I'm focusing in on, so it's a good choice for me to level up. Constitution is always a really good choice as you level up because it continues to increase your overall max health. And the third category I want you guys to focus in on, and again, you can change these values. You're not going to be locked into it. You can always respec. But when it comes to your weapons and leveling them up, I always recommend focusing in on getting your 3 skills set up as quickly as possible. My second priority, unless there is a stat that is just absolutely incredible, like increased base damage by 15% when attacking foes are above 90% health, maybe you like that. Personally speaking, you lose that as soon as they're below 90%, so I wouldn't put that as a value. I like to upgrade my skills so that they are leveled up and maxed out as much as possible. So that's what I tend to focus in on perk wise, but you do have these floating perks. Again, you can respec, you can change all of this. You're not going to be locked into a decision. So if you end up making a choice and don't like it, don't worry about it. It's going to be easy to get that cleared up. At level cap, there's a slight cost to it, not a real money cost, just in-game cost, which really is very, very minimal, to say the least. But that's what I choose to focus in on when it comes to weapons, when it comes to stats, and when it comes to factions. Now, one thing I do want to highlight when it comes to your attributes here is you can see here my constitution. I've got 35, but I also have stats coming in in a blue color. You can see that also coming in from strength. So what that actually means is that's tied into your gear. If I do a comparison, this new piece of gear gives me an additional 4 constitution. So stats don't just come from leveling up, they can come from the gear that you find out in the world, and equipping it is that easy. And you should be reviewing the gear that you have on occasion to figure out what ultimately is best needed for you. The other thing about gearing is you can see here various different gears have different level weights to them, like light or heavy or medium, things like that, which that's what you're going to end up seeing. This is going to affect how you move and dodge within the game itself. If you're ever curious, this is what your equipment load gives you. In light equipment load, you're going to have an increase of base damage, you're going to have an increase of outgoing healing, you're going to have block stability as a decrease, your dodge is going to be a quick roll, your stamina is going to cost 50. You go down into medium and you can see here it's going to be a quick hop, so you lose the roll and it becomes a little bit of hop. You get a couple of other damage perks, bonuses, etc. up and down. That's going to end up making a change. And then in heavy, obviously base damage is going down, your outgoing healing is going down, but you're going to have much better survivability and a much slower dodge. So just kind of play around with what you feel is best. Obviously getting out of bad is a great way of surviving, but if you're not necessarily good at dodging, you can probably think about equipping heavy gear, and that's going to help you out. And with that, I hope that you have had your questions answered and that you've gotten something good out of this video. If you haven't, now we're going to jump into the message of hope. Now, I was asked the other day, how do you get over guilt? Feeling like you shouldn't or you can't relax, for example, is what this is rooted in, and that you should always be on that grind. And I want to start this discussion with a quote from G.K. Chesterton, who wrote, "Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know that dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be killed." And we all have these dragons in our life. Your dragon might look vastly different from my dragon. But the question here about this, about guilt and gaming, really does hit home, because I too have had that dragon in my life. Now, the key takeaway that I really would like to get to is that I really would encourage you to get to the root thought of why you feel you can't rest, why you feel that you can't take a moment for yourself and almost in a way put on that, you know, your oxygen mask before you put on that of the kids. But rest is critical. It's critical to all the things in our lives. And that's why you're going to hear me always take a balanced approach to gaming and to content creation. I play a handful of games that I enjoy, but my family will always come first. Because yes, having kids is going to change your ability and availability to game all the time. In fact, actually, that's probably a good thing that it changes that. But what I found is that I actually enjoy my game time way more. And when you get to start playing games with your kids, it's even better. Now, I've said this publicly multiple times, like when it comes to streaming, for example, there is a level of guilt that I would be feeling sometimes, because I'd be obviously thinking I should be working on X, I should be doing Y, I should be going and doing this other thing. And what I realized though, and what really kind of helped me with that, is just kind of creating a schedule. As nerdy or as adulting as that sounds, setting time aside for yourself, for your game time, for your, just kind of relaxing time is important. In fact, I would encourage you, especially if you have kids and are married, to set time aside to spend just with your spouse. Like that is and should be, in a way, kind of some sacred time. Yes, gaming is fun and it's good. And yes, some people overconsume video games. But consuming a game or relaxing with a movie or a show, like there isn't anything inherently bad with that. And if taking a little bit of time every week to focus in on you makes you a better parent or a better person in life, then I think that is essentially kind of the right kind of trade-off. Everything within balance. Moderation is a real key to happiness. Joy can be found in saying no to yourself. Those are important aspects that a lot of people just need to be reminded of. I challenge myself all the time. Like I'm doing a St. Michael's Lent right now. That has, that puts basically these restrictions on me. Cold showers, no meat on Wednesdays and Fridays. Like those changes are there. I put those on myself, and it honestly makes me feel more free, more alive, more in control of my destiny, to say the least. I always want to encourage you guys to leave it on the field. whatever you do, because you can always say that I gave it my best and I won't be plagued with regret, because you really can't change the past. And for my fellow Christians out there, this is really where the devil's true power is, keeping you locked in the past rather than focusing in on the here and now. To sum this up, to kind of put this all in a package, guilt can be a feeling that it's telling us that we need to make a change, and that we should dive into that root feeling and ask questions and keep asking those questions until we find out what it is, because it doesn't necessarily mean that the guilt is true. It could be just trying to steal your joy away from you and make you not sit down and rest and take care of yourself. But it could also be telling you that, yes, you need to make a change. And that's why guilt isn't a true feeling out the gate. It's a invitation to find out if there's something that needs to change in your life. And then when you find that answer, either make that change or say, no, that's not a true thought. That's not really where I need to be right now. And that's perfectly okay. So it's good to rest. In fact, I would encourage you to take rest, to enjoy life, find things that you find fun, and then to balance that all, because we do have our responsibilities, especially for those of you who are, men out there. I see my audience numbers. Most of you guys are dudes. It's like, yes, it is a good thing to be a husband and a provider and a father. That's where you're going to, at the end of the day, find the most fulfillment in any aspect of your life. The greatest gift that God has given people who do not want children is they will never know what they missed out on. And that in and of itself, I think, is a blessing, because I could not imagine my life any other way. And I enjoy video games, and that's something that we as a family enjoy together. That's something that I get to enjoy on occasion with you guys. And that's something that's great. And so this is me obviously talking to a bunch of you guys. And I don't know where you are in this life, but if you need help, if you are struggling, it's not a weakness to ask for help. I'm here. There are many resources out there in the world. If you don't feel like it's safe to comment publicly on a video, you can always directly DM me. You can always get a part of this community. Like, whether you want to be, it's not a Christian exclusive place, just by the way, but you will hear scripture quoted from time to time. And I know that not everybody wants to opt into that, but iron sharpens iron as one man sharpens another. You guys make me a better version of me. And if I can make any of what I say here help you guys be a better version of you, then it's a real win. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you so much for your time and opportunity to talk to you guys today about New World. I really hope that you got something good out of this video. If you had questions, sound off below. I'm here to help. Otherwise, hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. But until then, take care.